Behind every trophy and every confident smile on social media, Jose Mateus was fighting a silent battle against the limits of his own body. He was caught in an endless race to achieve the impossible, a race that would ultimately demand the highest price. What drove one of Brazil's most promising bodybuilders to collapse in front of everyone at the peak of his career? The answer lies in a story of ambition, sacrifice, and the hidden struggles behind a dream that seemed too perfect to be true. Jose Mateus was a figure who seemed to transcend ordinary life. He wasn't just a bodybuilder, he was a symbol of determination and strength for thousands of followers who admired him on social media and cheered for his victories on stage. At 28 years old, he had already achieved what many could only dream of. A pro card at the Arnold Classic Sao Paulo, a successful supplement line, a solid name in the fitness industry, and a charisma that seemed unshakable. But that fateful morning, something went terribly wrong, something that would shake the fitness community to its core. It started like any other day at a high-end gym in Sao Paulo. The sound of weights hitting the floor blended with the steady rhythm of motivational music filling the air. Among the gym-goers, Jose stood out not only for his impressive physique, but for the way he attracted attention. He was a force of nature, someone seemingly carved to inspire and challenge the human limits. Everyone there knew he was preparing for another competition. His focused gaze and disciplined routine served as a constant reminder that greatness required sacrifice. But that morning, something felt off. Some people later reported that he seemed winded, taking longer breaks between sets. Others said his expression showed a weariness that didn't match the contagious energy he usually exuded. Still, Jose pressed on, convinced that he could push through. After all, he was known for overcoming barriers, and as he often said, success belonged only to those who learned to ignore discomfort. At one point, Jose decided to add more weight to his deadlift, a movement he had mastered like few others. It was a display of raw power, something he frequently shared in videos on social media, captioned with motivational messages. But that moment, as the bar rose from the ground, the inevitable happened. His body gave way. He collapsed to his knees, the bar rolling across the floor as a chilling silence fell over the gym. One of Brazil's biggest bodybuilding names was now on the floor, motionless, while everyone around tried to comprehend what had just occurred. The tragedy spread quickly. Social media flooded with messages of shock and grief. Friends, fans, and colleagues shared tributes, describing Jose as someone who lived intensely, always encouraging others to be their best. But as the hours passed, the tone of the conversations began to shift. Questions arose, murmurs about the risks involved in such an extreme pursuit of physical perfection. For many, Jose Mateus had been a hero, but his death brought up a sensitive, often avoided discussion in the world of bodybuilding: the impact of anabolic steroid use. Jose's physique, so admired by many, was not just the result of training and dedication. It was also the product of a mix of substances, including long-term steroid use, diuretics, and other drugs commonly used by high-performance athletes. What was once celebrated as an incredible achievement was now seen by some as a warning sign. Experts were soon consulted to understand what could have led a young man of only 28 to experience such a devastating collapse. Doctors pointed to chronic steroid use as a potential contributing factor. These substances, though widely used in the sport, come with serious risks, including left ventricle hypertrophy, severe hormonal imbalances, and immense stress on the cardiovascular system. For someone like Jose, who had started competing and shaping his body at such a young age, the cumulative effects could have been fatal. But it wasn't just steroid use that was being questioned. The constant pressure to maintain an impressive physique, the need to always be on top, and the desire to outdo oneself each day were also crucial factors. Jose was the embodiment of an industry that often romanticizes suffering and overcoming any cost. He was celebrated not just for his strength, but for the way he seemed to ignore exhaustion and keep pushing forward, even when his body signaled that something was wrong. For those who knew him closely, his death was even harder to accept. Close friends and family members remembered Jose as someone who, despite being strong and determined, was also very human. He had dreams, fears, and insecurities like anyone else. Many recalled how, in recent months, he seemed more tired, more introspective, perhaps even a bit worn down by the exhausting routine and pressure coming from all sides. In the days that followed, tribute images began circulating. Competitors, coaches, and fans gathered to honor the man who had inspired so many. One video, in particular, showed Jose in a moment of victory, lifting a trophy as tears streamed down his face. It was a reminder of how hard he had fought to get to where he was, but also a reflection of the price he paid for it. However, Jose's tragedy wasn't just a reason for sorrow. It sparked a broader conversation about the limits of bodybuilding and the dangers of indiscriminate drug use. Many began to wonder if the sport, as it is practiced today, wasn't demanding too much of its athletes. There was a call for change, for greater awareness, for a balance between achieving results and preserving health. Jose Matea's story, marked by both triumph and tragedy, became a symbol of something greater. He was living proof that the pursuit of perfection can often hide the hidden costs of the journey. His death left a huge void, but it also delivered an invaluable lesson: the importance of listening to your body, respecting your limits, and remembering that, in the end, health is the most precious thing we have. That day in the gym was the breaking point, but it was also the start of a much-needed reflection. Jose Mateus will be remembered as a giant, not just for his impressive physique, but for the way his story resonated with thousands of lives. Amidst the grief, there is hope that his passing will inspire change, that other athletes will learn from his mistakes, and that the sport will find a safer and more sustainable path for those who dedicate their lives to it. Jose Mateus wasn't just another guy in the gym. He was a symbol. Born in a small town in Sao Paulo, his humble beginnings didn't stop him from dreaming big. As a child, he was fascinated by bodybuilding, watching competitions on TV and wondering if someone from a place like his could ever make it. The more he saw, the more the idea stuck with him. If others could do it, why couldn't he? From a young age, Jose was obsessed with building strength. He didn't have fancy gym memberships or equipment. Instead, he used what he could find: bags of rice for weights and old metal pipes for bars. Slowly but surely, his body started to transform. His friends were amazed by how quickly he was getting stronger, and by the time he was a teenager, it was clear that he had something special. When Jose finally got his first job as a trainer at a local gym, it felt like a huge breakthrough. He could now train more seriously and learn from other experienced athletes. It wasn't long before a coach noticed his dedication and pushed him to enter a bodybuilding competition. Jose jumped at the chance. Even though he was still new to the scene, his raw determination and drive made him stand out. He trained harder than anyone, and when the competition came around, he didn't just participate, he won. That win changed everything. It was the first step in what would become a massive career in bodybuilding. As the years went on, Jose made a name for himself in the Brazilian bodybuilding world. He started winning more competitions, earning respect, and gaining a reputation as a rising star. But he wasn't just about lifting weights, he wanted to build an empire. His passion for fitness led him to open a supplement store, which soon grew into a successful business. His following on social media exploded as well. He posted training tips, inspirational quotes, and his journey toward becoming the best. For many people, Jose wasn't just a bodybuilder, He was an example of what could be achieved with enough work and dedication. However, with success came pressure. The demands of the sport were relentless. Bodybuilding isn't just about building muscle, it's about maintaining a specific look all year round, and that takes a toll on both the body and mind. The more Jose's career progressed, the harder it became to keep up with the constant need for perfection. He started using steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs to push his body to its limits. At first, it was just a few cycles here and there, but as the stakes grew higher, so did the doses. His body, which had once been the result of sheer effort and discipline, was now changing in ways that were harder to control. Despite the changes, Jose kept going. His muscles grew larger and more defined, but so did the risks. The steroids he took started to have a serious impact on his health. His heart had to work harder to keep up with his muscular build. He began experiencing unusual symptoms: fatigue, shortness of breath, and dizziness, but he ignored them. After all, he was Jose Mateus, the guy who never gave up, who pushed through the pain. While he continued to dominate competitions and grow his brand, Jose was losing control in ways he couldn't see. His use of diuretics to keep his body lean was causing severe dehydration, putting additional strain on his already taxed system. But he was determined to keep pushing. His coaches and friends urged him to slow down, but he couldn't stop. He was at the top of his game, and there was no room for failure. Then came the moment when everything changed. Jose reached the pinnacle of his bodybuilding career. He earned his pro card at the Arnold Classic Sao Paulo, one of the biggest events in the sport. It was the culmination of years of sacrifice, sweat, and pain. But instead of feeling relieved or accomplished, he felt the weight of even higher expectations. The pressure to stay on top, to always be the best, was more intense than ever. He started doing even more extreme things to maintain his physique, including using more powerful steroids and increasing the number of supplements he took. He wasn't just competing against others anymore. He was competing with himself, pushing his limits further each time. His body became an obsession. He worked out longer, ate less, and pushed himself harder, ignoring the signs that his body was starting to break down. His friends and family saw the changes too. Jose, once full of life and energy, started to seem more distant. He was exhausted, always tired, and appeared to be losing touch with the joy he once found in his training. Despite the warning signs, Jose didn't slow down. He thought he could handle it. After all, he had been doing this for years, and had built a reputation as someone who was unstoppable. But as he grew more focused on achieving the perfect physique, the cracks began to show. His heart was under so much strain that it became harder to keep up. His muscles grew, but so did the damage to his body. It wasn't long before his body couldn't keep up with the demands he placed on it. What had once been a symbol of strength became a source of weakness. Jose collapsed during a workout, unable to continue. The tragedy that followed shocked the entire fitness world. His death raised a crucial question: how far is too far when it comes to pushing the limits of the human body? In the days after his death, many people who knew him or followed his journey began to speak out. They talked about the incredible dedication Jose had shown throughout his career, but also about the hidden dangers that came with his extreme lifestyle. It was clear that Jose's story wasn't just about winning trophies and gaining followers. It was a cautionary tale about the cost of chasing perfection. Jose's story became a wake-up call. It sparked important conversations about the dangers of bodybuilding at the highest levels. Experts began discussing the risks of steroid use, the toll it takes on the heart, and the impact it has on long-term health. And while Jose's death was a tragedy, it also led to a shift in the way people view the sport. The message was clear: health should always come before the pursuit of a perfect body. Jose Mateus was a man who had achieved incredible things, but his story reminds us that no trophy, no title, and no amount of fame are worth the cost of our health. His life and legacy should serve as a reminder to everyone in the fitness world that it's important to listen to your body, to take care of your health, and to know when to stop. The road to greatness isn't just about how much you can push yourself. It's about finding balance and living a life that honors both your body and your spirit.